Hello and welcome back to On the Workbench. Today we're taking a look at a set of Wera Kraftform screwdrivers, or perhaps more importantly, what it's going to take for me to transition my screwdriver collection over to Wera. So, a little backstory. I got into the Wera line where I was needing a set of VDE screwdrivers. I've got a video about that I posted down below, and I've been so impressed with those VDE screwdrivers and how well they've performed. And I've been kind of in the market for a while to replace my well-loved and well-cared-for Craftsman Professional Screwdrivers. Maybe you remember these from the days of Sears, and these have served me well. I can't complain about them too much. I've got a T25 in particular that's definitely seen some better days. And some of my other tips are starting to twist and get a little damaged. And I've been so impressed with the Wera, I've decided just to jump whole hog into the Wera line. At my own expense, I should add. And so I thought I would show you what it's going to take for me to transition my toolbox screwdriver collection from the Craftsman Professionals over to Wera. So this is the kit I picked up to help me make the jump. And then I've got a couple other things here that we're going to add to the mix. On the back, we've got our different color codes, some basic information. These are made in the Czech Republic. I picked this setup off Amazon, and I'll show you, hopefully, some of the good, the bad, and the ugly with these Wera screwdrivers. You take the little wrap off. They're packaged very nicely, I have to say, or at least the exterior packaging. What I've learned about these Wera screwdrivers, I find to be a little odd that as premium of a screwdriver as they are, the fact that they come kind of just dumped into a box like that, and there's not a, I don't know, a fancier presentation. Like, it definitely still works, and you can still see some dust. Presumably that's Czech dust on these screwdrivers here. We get a sticker here. I'm not a huge one for these stickers, but nice touch anyway. You get a couple of these holders. I don't think I'm really going to be using these, but I'm going to set these aside because these can be used on the back side for their Kraftform micro screwdrivers when set up like that. So I'm going to set those aside for that purpose. When it comes to making the switch to Wera, it seems like it's a little bit of a sport to try to find the best basic kits, if you will, to be able to make the trade, because there's so many options that they offer, particularly in the straight blade, but they also offer a variety of other options. If you look at the end here, you can see that's a 30 in green. That's a Torx T30. A star bit. I'm actually not sure why these are so dusty. It's kind of interesting to see them like that. We've got a T10, a 4,0, which would mean a 4.0 millimeter wide flat tip blade. You can see the laser etching there. A red number 3. So for that, we've got a Phillips number 3, a Phillips number 2. Now we have a white color code. So what does that mean? If we look up here at the end, you can see that tip is shaped a little bit differently with a little barb in between. So these whites are Pozidrive. That's one of the nice things about these European screwdrivers is you can get matching Pozidrive screwdrivers. A 6.5 millimeter flat blade. Number 1, number 2 in white. So what does that mean? That means we've got Pozidrives there. And then we've got a T25 screwdriver. So one of the first things here I want to point out. So here's a T25 in the Wera, and here is my T25 Craftsman Professional. If we look at the length here, these Craftsman Professionals are about an extra 3 inches longer than the Wera. So I'm not sure how I'm going to feel about that, because in terms of working on cars, especially my Saab, sometimes having the extra length on the Torx is nice. So it remains to be seen how I'm going to feel about that. But you'll notice there's a few screwdrivers that are missing from this set. One of the first ones that stands out to me is a T27. Kind of an oddball screwdriver, but in America, we do use a T27 from time to time. So to be able to help make that transition, After picking up this set from Amazon, we'll push these out of the way. I then place an order with KC Tool, one of the largest suppliers of Wera screwdrivers, at least that I can tell, where I can custom order exactly what I'm looking for. And so then I got this Ziploc bag from KC Tool. So inside here, I'm also adding on a Phillips number 4. You don't use it that often, but again, I'm trying to do a wholesale replacement in my toolbox. A T40. I don't use a T40 that often, but I've got a T40 that I need to replace if I'm going to go completely Wera. And here's that magic T27. If we keep digging, I'll explain that in a second here. And then we have a P0. Yes, there are more sizes of the Pozidrive that I did not get out or that I did not purchase yet. I've got a 1 and a 2. And so now these two black handles, the black generally means stainless steel. In this case here, I've got a red and a green at the bottom. These are Robertson, or square drive screws, and a 1 and a 2. So I went with the stainless steel versions on these rather than the normal Kraftform, because then they start changing the handles on these to other colors that are not the same matching green and black handle. I'm not sure I understand why they do that, but it is what it is. So I went with the stainless steel, and maybe I should have went stainless steel on all of them just to have a matching set. I know that's just me being a little OCD in terms of what I'm looking for. But then something else I picked up was a set of screw holders. So here's a regular one, if you will, and I also picked up a set for my VDE screwdrivers. So we got ones here that are good for the larger shafts and smaller shafts on the VDE, and just a generic one here for holding on slotted screwdrivers. All right, so here I've got a 4mm screwdriver tip. I'll go ahead and take this and place this over the end. It has a nice soft rubber feel to it. And then I can use this to be able to help hold a screw head on here. I don't know how much I'll use these, but I thought that was a nice accessory. And in all fairness, you would not even need to be in the Wera line to make use of this, because this seemingly would be universal with any other brand of screwdriver if you want something else to help hold flat-headed screws. Or I also can see this being useful perhaps on holding nuts if you do a nut driver or something else. We'll see about that. But I picked those up for this order just to throw it in. If you order $75 or more, you get free shipping. If you're interested in some of this here, I've got some affiliate links on KC Tool that you can pick up some of these screwdrivers, as well as affiliate links for Amazon. You can also pick up some of these screwdrivers as well. Looking at the set selection, it's obvious that I could use probably a few more flat-bladed screwdrivers, or do I call these pry bars, whatever you want to call them. That I could use a little more of those. I'm not sure exactly what sizes I'm going to want, so I didn't order those yet. And I'm sure I'll figure out a few more things that I want. But this is my initial stab at trying to replace my Craftsman Professional Screwdrivers. After a little more organizing, I ended up making another order with KC Tool and picked up a few more screwdrivers to finally finish out my set for my complete replacement. And I say finally because, I don't know, is this ever really a final process? So here's what I picked up to at least what I think will temporarily halt this round of screwdriver purchases. First of all, I've got a flat-bladed 5.5mm screwdriver. That was kind of a gap that was missing. I ended up getting this in the 150mm length. I would have preferred the 125. They were out of stock on those, but that's fine. And then I also wanted two basically foot-long screwdrivers. So I picked up a Phillips number 2 and a 5.5mm. So these are about 12 inches long. We'll get out the old tape measure. And these are checking in at least for the blade itself, just a hair under 12 inches. Call it a foot long. These are 300mm for the Phillips number 2 and the 5.5. I'm not sure I really have a need for a complete selection of those foot-long screwdrivers, but I've got a couple of those, and that Phillips number 2 I've had to use a couple of times and they're really handy in select locations. Another item I picked up was the Wera Kraftform sort of scratch owl. It would have been nice if this were actually in a grip that was more comparable to this Kraftform handle, rather than being a little more, I don't know what I'm going to call this, maybe bulbous. But I suppose the advantage of this is I can get the heel of my hand on this to be able to reach down and scratch rather than twist. And it's got a pretty sturdy little piece of rubber tubing over it to help protect the end from scratching up. So I picked that up as well. And then I also got two more, and these are the yellow handled drivers. So these yellow handles indicate that the screwdriver tang goes all the way through to the end. Sometimes these are called chisel drivers. And so obviously that's very fitting for the flathead, that then you could pound on this. And basically, I mean, there's always been that running gag that what is a flat-headed screwdriver? It's just a pry bar by another name. And especially with these, that's certainly true. There's also a bolster here as well that you can use to put a wrench on. And so I thought having one of these in a, I think this is a 5.5 millimeter. Let me look at the tag. What did I order? Yep, it's a 5.5 millimeter. These are 100 millimeter long tangs. So 100 millimeters in American parlance is about 4 inches. And then just for the sake of not having one, I got a matched pair here in a Phillips number 2. So I would have a pair of these yellow screwdrivers. Maybe in the future I'll pick up a few more of these flat-headed ones to use as assorted size pry bars and chisels, but I thought this would be a good start. And even though on the number 2, this could be pounded into a damaged fastener and turned out, maybe I'll try to see if I can find a Pozidrive one, because that might be useful for a damaged Phillips. We'll see. Just a couple little thoughts there as I try to round out my screwdriver collection. So I think that brings it to the end. The other thing I should point out here is that if you spend over $100 at KC Tool, they will send you a pack of these German stickers if that's your thing. So now that I've got most of my screwdrivers all in stock now, if you will, I'm gonna go ahead and put these in my screwdriver drawer, and then we'll cut to take a look at that here in just a moment. So now after replacing all my screwdrivers with Wera's, this is what my drawer looks like now. You can see that, yeah, most of it's all Wera. There's a few exceptions. I got all my Phillips and slotted and Pozidrive screwdrivers over here. It's kind of awkward storing that Phillips number 4. It's just such a big beast of a driver. There's not really a good place to manage the space. I got my long screwdrivers in the back. I'm still keeping my Mac ratcheting bit driver. I've got the short and the long version of that. I've got my chisel drivers, the Robertson drivers there, a couple other oddball things like my PB Swiss coin driver. Then I've got a few other really weird things like a little bit holding Craftsman screwdriver, these little Z drivers like this. Every now and then those are super useful. I can't really replace those. Some really small, what we'll call just really itty bitty small compact hand drivers. Otherwise, I still have my Craftsman ball end hex set. I've had this for a long time. This is just a fun old-fashioned set that's been out of production since way before Sears went bankrupt, but is fantastic nonetheless. They're putting together knockdown furniture sometimes. Maybe I'll replace that with the Wera, but I might be loath to get rid of those Craftsman. Wera Torx over here, and then in the back, all the way back here, speed drivers. Well, is another slightly old-fashioned thing. Don't have a use for these very often, but every now and then, these are the right tool for the job. But in any case, this is how my drawer looks after I have verified it. Can we call that a word? Verified the drawer, and pulling out all of my Craftsman Professional. I'll figure out what I'm going to do with these, set these aside for now. And then I also have my Craftsman impacting screwdrivers. Those are made by Vessel. Those are kind of useful as well from time to time. But otherwise, that's a look at my screwdriver drawer. If you've got any other insights on any other tools, screwdrivers particularly, that you think I should have, that I don't have in here, or other things that you see that you like or you want to know more about, let me know. Put in the comments down below. Thanks for watching, and I'll have links for most of this stuff also in the comments down below. Some of those will be affiliate links, just as a full disclosure. So thanks for watching, and as always, have a great day. Bye.